Let's just dive right into this explainer. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering a hidden financial windfall with your name on it. We're talking money that could fund your next vacation, maybe a new hobby, or just give you some serious peace of mind. Well, today, we're going on a modern treasure hunt to find forgotten bank accounts and missing money, specifically focusing on Minnesota.
And look at this number. Right now, the Minnesota Department of Commerce is sitting on over $1 billion in unclaimed property. Literally $1 billion. It's just sitting in a state-managed vault, completely inactive. We're talking uncashed checks, forgotten savings accounts, and lost insurance payouts that belong to everyday people just like you and me.
I know. It sounds like a total scam, right? Like something that's way too good to be true. But statistically, 1 in 10 Americans has missing money. You might have zero idea that an old employer, a former bank, or even a relative who passed away left behind assets in your name. So let's look at the data and figure out if you're part of that 10%.
Here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the hidden treasure itself, then mapping your search, hunting for the money, and finally, the claiming process.
All right, starting with part 1. The hidden treasure, what is unclaimed property?
So how exactly does this money go missing in the first place? Basically, unclaimed property means financial assets held by a business where the owner, you, hasn't made contact for a set amount of time. That's known as a dormancy period. Think about it. You move to a new apartment, you switch banks, maybe you just lose track of a final payroll check. If that business can't get a hold of you, those assets eventually get classified as unclaimed property.
And the rules in Minnesota set up some very specific timers for this. Things like unclaimed wages and utility deposits, those are considered abandoned after just 1 year. Bank accounts and dividends take 3 years, safe deposit boxes take 5, and those old traveler's checks, 15 years. Once that specific time passes with zero activity, the asset legally escheats. Basically, that's just a fancy legal term meaning the business is required to transfer the funds to the state for safekeeping.
Now, you might be wondering, why didn't the state just call me? Well, there was actually a pretty notable case, Hall versus State, where the Minnesota Supreme Court ruled that the state's existing laws and public databases are legally sufficient notice, meaning the state is absolutely not going to track you down personally. They'll hold your money securely forever, sure, but it's entirely on you to be proactive, search those databases, and claim what is rightfully yours.
Which brings us to part 2, mapping your search. Where to look?
Your absolute best tool in Minnesota is the official state portal, mn.unclaimedproperty.com. It's run by the Department of Commerce, and it's the authoritative database. If you've only ever lived in Minnesota, definitely start there. But if you've bounced around and lived in a few different states, check out missingmoney.com. It's a multi-state database and a fantastic starting point because it pulls records from all over the country into a single search.
Okay, but what if your money never went to the state? Sometimes assets bypass state systems completely. Say your search involves a bank that failed. You're going to want to check the FDIC database. Looking for closed credit unions? Hit up the NCUA locator. What if your grandpa bought you a savings bond like 30 years ago? Treasuryhunt.gov is where you need to point your compass. And finally, if you think an old employer owes you back wages, check out the Department of Labor's Workers Owed Wages site.
Now, before you dive in, there is a huge warning we need to talk about. You might get contacted by third-party locators or finders who offer to recover your money for a fee. Do not do this. Some of these predatory groups will try to charge you up to 50% of your own money. Remember, searching these government websites and filing a claim is 100% free. You literally never need to pay someone to get your own money back. Let's move on to part 3, hunting for missing money, the search process. Using mn.unclaimedproperty.com is super straightforward. Just start by entering your last name to cast a really wide net. If you have a common last name, you're probably going to get thousands of hits. When that happens, just refine it. Add your first name, or narrow it down by a specific city or zip code you used to live in. Once you spot something that matches your history, all you do is click the claim button. Easy.
But here's where the real expert strategy comes in. Don't just type in your current name and call it a day. You've got to check maiden names, married names, any hyphenated variations you've used. Also, since the Twin Cities are such a massive corporate hub, look up your former employers, places like Target, Best Buy, or the Mayo Clinic. And this is a big one. Search for deceased relatives. There are amazing real-life success stories out there where people just searched a late grandparent's name and ended up legally claiming these huge forgotten estate payouts that totally changed their lives.
All right, part 4, the claiming process, getting your money.
Just to manage expectations here.
The state isn't just going to mail a check to anyone who clicks a button. You have to prove you're the rightful owner. For a simple claim, a government ID and maybe an old utility bill showing you lived at the reported address is usually enough. But if it's a complex claim, like if you're acting as an heir for a deceased relative, you're going to need death certificates, wills, and official probate documents to prove you have the legal right to that cash.
And when you go to upload your proof, you have to follow the portal's strict rules. You can only upload a maximum of 5 files, and they absolutely cannot be password protected. Make sure you crop your images so they're clear, too, or the system might just automatically reject your claim. Also, keep in mind that for really high-value or super complicated estate claims, a digital photo won't cut it. The state will actually require you to mail the physical, notarized original documents right to their office in St. Paul.
Okay, so once you get your payout, how do you make sure you never lose track of your money again? It's really just about building proactive financial habits. The second you move, update your address directly with your bank. Cash every single check you receive immediately. Don't let them sit around. Make it a habit to log into your online banking at least once a year, just to reset that dormancy clock. And when you change jobs, try to consolidate those old retirement accounts so your wealth isn't scattered all over the place.
Just a quick disclaimer before we wrap this up. Procedures, websites, and state laws do shift over time, so always double-check this info directly on official state websites. Make sure they end in .gov. And honestly, if you're dealing with a really messy probate issue or complicated inheritance, definitely consult a legal or financial professional to help you navigate it.
So your financial history is out there waiting. The state of Minnesota has $1 billion sitting in a vault doing absolutely nothing, and some of it could literally have your name on it. What kind of hidden windfall could you discover? Don't wait around. Use the tools we just talked about, go run a search right now, and take back what's rightfully yours. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and happy hunting.